Kia ora and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke.
And I'm Matt.
This week we are drinking Love in Idleness by Small Gods.
And Small Gods is us.
Is us.
Me and Luke.
And we are sitting here in the glamorous Small Gods tap room.
This is the Fridge and Flagon.
The Fridge and Flagon is dead.
It says Fridge and Flagon on the bar.
Well, I'm going to unscrew that tomorrow before we open to the public again.
It says it on the bar, I can see it.
Well, people are going to watch this in the future, so yeah, by the time people watch it, it will be Small Gods tap room. So yes, there are a lot of coincidences. Cheers.
Cheers.
The Small Gods tap room has a lot in common with the Fridge and Flagon, in that it's literally exactly the same. Nothing has changed beyond signage and the name. We're now open Thursdays, and we now serve pizzas that are pretty tasty. I was looking at the tap list a couple of weeks ago and realised we had 9 Small Gods beers on tap here. So I thought it was about time. But the vibe of the place will be the same. We're still going to champion great independent brewers. We're going to get beers from brewers all over the place. We'll still do festivals, pop-ups, and yeah, just thought it was good to retire the Fridge and Flagon name.
Still have fridges full of stuff to take away.
Yeah, you can still fill flagons, etc., etc.
Just you can fill more flagons with Small Gods beer.
Yeah, so we may be putting out a few more Small Gods beers this year.
Excited about that.
Yeah. So yeah, as Matt says, Small Gods is us. What are Small Gods into?
Weird stuff, cool stuff, delicious things. Like this botanical lager. So at Small Gods we specialise in rare and interesting styles, experimental takes on traditional styles, and doing the stuff that no one else is doing. So to make this botanical lager, it's a really nice, clean lager base. Touch a little bit of wheat in there to give it some body. But we've, rather than loading it up with hops, we have used a few botanicals from our mates at Noble and Sunday Tea Company.
Different flowers.
Yeah, so this has 3 different flowers in it, which is chamomile, jasmine, and hibiscus. And I think the word to describe this beer would be floral.
It's floral, it's light, it's very smashable. A lot of the beers that we make at Small Gods can be quite divisive. We do a lot of really bold, full flavours that can be loved or hated. And I feel like this, we've had it on tap for a while, it's an all-rounder. You know, people come in here, they're like, oh, we just got a lager, and they're not craft beer fans. They have a sip, like, oh, it's nice, kind of biscuity, bit of interesting character.
Yeah,
and also nerds like us.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a crowd pleaser, but just a point of difference. Again, something that I don't think I've certainly never had before, and it's something that you often see in kind of more Belgian styles, where people use kind of orange peel or stuff like that in saisons and the like, and wits. But yeah, it's, you don't see many people doing too much different stuff with kind of clean light lagers. And so yeah, we wanted to just really bring a delicate and different flavour profile to a nice, clean, easy drinking sessionable beer. Good amount of carbonation, so it's nice and spritzy, easy to drink, 4.3%. And I mean, if you've followed Small Gods in the past, you'll know of our love of table beer. And I mean, I'd almost call this table beer adjacent. It's a little bit stronger and it's a lager as opposed to an ale, which all of our table beers have been. But it's kind of that similar flavour profile that I really enjoy, in just that kind of light, spritzy, fruity, floral, herbal, but not kind of over the top hoppy everyday drinking beer.
And yeah, drinkability wise.
Yeah,
and that's key. There's some nice sort of layers there, there's enough interest. But it works on both levels. So I think a lot of the beers throughout history that become the most popular styles, you know, look at things like Kölsch or Irish Dry Stout, Pilsner. It's a beer that you're not gonna get bored of, but equally, it's not destroying your taste buds with flavour. So yeah, cool concept for this one. And I should say that I did not want to brew this beer to begin with.
We had to make a deal. You'll see the other half of this deal at some point later this year.
But yeah, you had to talk me into it. I enjoy and appreciate most flavours, really, except meat and fish. But when it comes to different flavours, I love most things. But I just really don't like chamomile tea. There's something like chamomile tea, and it's like you have a mouthful, and it's sort of like
delicious,
feathery, powdery. it's like it just makes your mouth dry, which is not a thing I want in a cup of floral tea. So I wasn't really into brewing a chamomile-led lager, but the balance with other flavours in there, and with just the way that it's come out, this does not taste like chamomile tea, but you can get some chamomile character in there. So yeah, I was proved wrong. This is a great beer. I've been loving drinking it the last few weeks.
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting that you mentioned there is like when something like chamomile has that kind of drying component to the flavour profile, something like a touch of malt sweetness can actually come in to really balance that out.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of it is a fairly dry beer. It's clean and dry on the back of the palate.
Yeah.
Almost leaves a kind of drying sensation on the roof of the mouth, which might be attributable to the chamomile. But as you say, it's got that balance. And it's got just that intricacy in the flavour profile from those flowers that really kind of ties in really nicely.
So the flip side that you'll see at some point is Matt, you hate smoke.
I hate smoke. I don't like smoky things. I don't like smoked beers. I'm not super strong on smoked meats. I prefer but I quite like barbecue slow cooked stuff. But the smokier it gets, the more I lean away from it. And yeah, so that kind of thing doesn't do it for me. But I have relented, and we will be brewing a smoked beer soonish.
I'm crazy about Rauch beer and just smoked malt in all kinds of styles. Really love it. So a few years ago, I got Christopher from Zeeland on my side. So we did do that collaboration, Brunhilde's Fate, which was a gorgeous Rauch beer.
And I think it's the only Small Gods beer that I have not finished a glass of.
Couple of sips.
Yeah.
I did the decoction mash. Dream of that beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, look out for a Small Gods smoked beer at some point soon.
Yeah.
So this is, I suppose, deviating a little bit from a lot of our artwork and designs. I think we released this simultaneously with Hoofman.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny to see both the labels together.
That contrast, yeah.
Hoofman is so like metal and masculine,
yeah.
I suppose. It wasn't trying to be, it just is, it's horror, it's goats. And this is definitely on the more delicate side. It's a pretty beautiful artwork.
Yeah, so this is artwork by my mum. Hi, Mum. And she hand drew the artwork for us, which Luke photographed and transposed onto the can.
Yeah.
And it's featuring those flowers that you see, the jasmine, the hibiscus, and the chamomile.
Yeah.
And the brief that we gave her was kind of like a fairy ring. Kind of it's a phenomenon where like you often see it with mushrooms and some other plants where they grow in kind of circle, and we wanted to bring that kind of evocation of the flowers that are in there. And I think one of the things that I really enjoy is kind of bringing those alternative flavor profiles. And I mean, I have a bit of a problem with calling it masculine and feminine, but a kind of a more feminine approach in the packaging and that floral flavor profile, which traditionally leans that way. And just kind of bringing it into the world of beer and kind of opening the doors that way.
Yeah. Well, the way we come up with beers and ideas are manyfold, but often it would be, I suppose more often it will be the beer idea that comes first. And then we try and think of stories related to it and mythology, deities, etc. And yeah, thinking about flowers, I just got to thinking about that wonderful story of the English schoolgirls that hoaxed the whole nation into believing that there were fairies living in the bottom of the garden. In the early days of photography, they made these beautiful model fairies, and they posed them and they took photographs of them playing with the fairies. So definitely got down sort of a real track of fairies and flowers, which naturally led us to Shakespeare.
Yeah, so I think probably my favourite Shakespeare play, or at least the one I know the best, I've been in it, is Midsummer Night's Dream. And so when we started going down that path of fairies and fairy rings, kind of that was what immediately came to mind for me. And in that play, Puck, who's kind of the servant of Oberon, the king of the fairies, travels the world looking for a purple flower, or is it blue flower? A flower to drip into the eyes of the sleeping Athenians to make them fall in love with the first person they see, and that flower is called Love in Idleness. And so, thanks to my dad for contributing that little piece of the puzzle. So this beer was named by my dad, thanks Dad, and drawn by my mum. So it's a bit of a family affair on this one.
Yeah, good work, Matt's mum and dad, brilliant. And so I suppose in that way it's linked somehow to Amra Prema, which was linked to the story of Kamadeva, who's the Indian Cupid, basically, firing mango flowers to make people fall in love. So yeah, we've been feeling a bit loved up this beer season. All about it.
Yeah. Need to brew some more beers about hatred and pain.
Yeah, yeah, more pith and vinegar and fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty delicious beer. So hope you're enjoying it out there. You can see when you pour it, there's a touch of just like a blush pink in there, which obviously is from the hibiscus.
Yeah, we were wondering, because it's a super clean and light malt base, so I was actually expecting a little more pinkness from the hibiscus. And it's kind of funny, you see it sometimes and you're like, that's just a beer looking beer, and then sometimes it catches the light like, it's pink!
Yeah.
So it's that, but yeah, we just only wanted a little touch of blush in there, so that's come out quite nicely.
And then yeah, some flavour from the jasmine contributing as well.
Yeah, so yeah, just a really nice, rounded, floral, easy drinking, spritzy, fun beer.
And cool to collaborate with the tea company, Noble and Sunday, who are obviously incredible experts when it comes to teas and flowers. These aren't just any flowers. We didn't just get some, cheap tea bags to chuck in. These are the highest of quality, premium, carefully selected flowers that went into this beer. So it'd be interesting to see what real tea fans will think of this and if they can taste the difference, because it cost a fortune. Even though the awesome people at Noble and Sunday sold us the flowers at cost price, this beer was much more expensive to brew than Hoofman. As brewers, if you homebrewers watching, but also as drinkers, you probably know that hops are famously expensive, and it's really expensive to brew very hoppy beers, which we do a few of. But yeah, this left Hoofman far behind in cost, in expense. So I hope people appreciate it.
Yeah, well, if you think about dollars per gram on something like tea versus something like hops, kind of tea is very light. So the volume we used was high. But it comes through in the taste, and that's what's the important thing. But
yeah, definitely. So another excellent beer, I reckon. Pretty biased, but I mean, we normally make good beers, right?
We try to.
Yeah.
I think we do. Speaking of us making good beers with tea in them, it's really exciting for us this week that we have been able to announce that our collaboration with 8 Wired, Desperate Glory, just got named Best Beer in New Zealand.
The best beer in New Zealand.
Supreme Champion at the New World Awards.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely wild. It's a beer that we brewed 2 and a bit years ago now?
Yeah, we brewed it, actually, it was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. And then it spent I released it about 2 years ago. We brewed it because it spent a year in bourbon barrels. It's a Keemun tea oud brewing aged in bourbon barrels, collaboration with our good friends at 8 Wired. It's in every New World in the country now, which
crazy.
Is wild. Never having had a Small Gods beer in the supermarket before. Or maybe a couple actually, a couple other collaborations.
Some collaborations,
but not at this profile. So if you're in New World supermarkets around, you should be able to see that on the shelf in the top 30 section.
Yeah.
Give it a try. It's a Belgian sour brown ale with dates, palm sugar, and Keemun tea, which is a smoky Chinese tea, kind of reminiscent of kind of tobacco.
Leathery tobacco,
and it's aged absolutely beautifully. So thank you very much, Soren from 8 Wired, for tending to that and looking after it so carefully and entering it in the New World Awards so we can ride on his coattails. Thanks, Soren.
It was a pretty awesome phone call to get from Soren, because so we'd known for a while that we just announced yesterday, but the brewers and everybody got told shortly after the awards happened. I got a call from Soren, and obviously Small Gods never enter beers in any competitions. For a few reasons, I suppose. It's expensive to enter stuff in competitions.
Very expensive.
Also, we've never brewed the same beer twice. Like, our batches kind of sell out relatively quickly, so there's no benefit to us really, because by the time the awards are announced, the beer is probably gone. Also, we don't really sell beer to trade, we just sell it directly, pretty much. We definitely don't sell beer to supermarkets, mainly because I hate barcodes, they're just ugly on cans. And also, like, screw supermarkets. They're like, yeah, anyway, I won't rant on supermarkets just yet. But yeah, we probably won't be selling any more beers from Small Gods in supermarkets unless we do more awesome collaborations, and our partner breweries have got beers ranged across the place. So, yeah, Soren called me up and told me he'd entered the beer, which was a surprise to me, and then that it had been announced as the winner. So absolutely incredible news.
Yeah, really incredible.
But also I just think it's awesome that this beer is going to be in every New World, and it's rated as the best beer from the competition. So yeah, I wonder how beer curious people are that maybe like IPAs and Pilsners. They might pick up this bottle of barrel-aged beer that's, there's some balsamic vinegar vibes, there's definitely bourbon barrel vibes, there's a lot of complexity and layers. I think we might have a few blokes pouring it down the drain.
Yeah, so we might do, but we might also be opening some people's eyes to a category of beer that they've never experienced before.
Yeah,
so
converting people.
So check that out in New World supermarkets, and then leave it on the shelf and buy it from Beer Jen.
Yeah, absolutely incredible beer. So yeah, that's a beer I'm very happy with people buying at the supermarkets. And yeah, on Small Gods, this is now the Small Gods tap room, as we said at the start. There aren't really many changes beyond the science, to be honest. It's the same vibe, we're all the same people. Just thought as time had gone on, we'd retire the Freedom Flag and name. I feel like there aren't many of us here and we do a lot of different things and it can be a bit confusing. So thought I'd make it a little bit simpler with renaming it. One big change is we've got the Small Gods quiz night. So every Thursday night, I'm going to be hosting a quiz. So come along. I'm also writing the quiz, so it's going to be pretty eclectic, real variety of questions.
Those of you who remember the COVID lockdown quiz nights will have a sense of what to expect from Luke's wild quiz.
I've learned a few things from there, and it won't be quite as hard as the COVID quizzes.
Don't learn anything. Make it difficult.
At least multiple choice for the super hard ones.
Make them earn it.
Yeah. Just no answers right, just really demoralised.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, we also have pizzas now, so look forward to seeing you down here at some point soon for a delicious beer. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Cheers, Matt. And I won't cheers. You're empty.
I've got a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
And thank you to Matt's awesome parents.
Thanks, awesome parents. Done a great job.
To love.
Aww.